for late game scaling and hope for the best, but I mean, FPX have been banning away this Azir from Fofo every single time. He's not been able to get onto his most played pick, and honestly his best pick for him in the current meta as well. And now you're kind of left wanting Azure going, well, what the hell do we do?
Well, alright, decide to take away the Akali and the Thresh, so they're not going to be able to pick that one for themselves. Nidalee and Hecarim banned away again, and there is the Udyr final ban. So, lots left open here from the side of RA and FPX, waiting to see what their final ban is going to be.
I'm wondering if we get the first pick volley coming in from RA. It feels like that's what they're angling towards. You can see FPX, they basically go, all right, Lilia off the board, which says to me already need to go towards this. Now, Lilia has been playing a little bit of the volley bear in solo queue, but nowhere near as much as Tien. So it would be kind of a bit of a Hail Mary. Now, obviously, volley very prominent in the meta a little while back, but certainly we'll have to see if Lian is still proficient on that volley. And if he's comfortable go towards it, it's not. It is going to be going over towards this Nocturne. And now you would imagine volley bear for Tien, early game plays, and with the counter pick potentially here for Doomby on red side, you're not going to be able to go as easily towards this Nocturne Twisted Fate combo.
Honestly, right now, like, I would love to see Fofo on this Nocturne, and you give Lian, if you know there's a volley bear or something like that, give Lian something like a Karthus. Go for that double global kind of like, you know, almost like AP, AD kind of setup, the assassin setup. We've seen it work for the side of, you know, FPX, but I just don't know if it's in RA's wheelhouse.
I think the difference is when we saw this Karthus pick in the regular season, it was into something that was a little bit less early game focused. It was the Kindred that had come out from Beishwan, and they weren't really able to punish as effectively. I really feel like if you go towards this Karthus and Lian, you're basically hands off the wheel. You're like, we have no control of this early game. It is all up to Tien how he wants to play it. And that's a scary place to be against FPX, a team that gets a kill a minute on average, and you want them to go, yeah, here's the early game you wanted.
Well, they've kind of given it to them anyway. It's just, I suppose, in my head, I'm just like, well, if you're going to give it to them, at least have something in the mid game that can kind of, you know, counteract it as such and give us something to look forward to in the, you know, the RA drafts. But the Rel, the volley bear, same first two picks as game 2, going to be brought in here for the side of FPX. And with all the 80 carries in the world of a pick from, you are going to go with the Kaiser for iBoy as his most picked the entire split.
But I think the Tristana is actually the better selection here because you know FPX are going again for this very short range composition, right? If you go towards the Tristana, you can do well into Trist, you avoid any sort of counter matchups, and right now FPX have a lot they can play with. You can go towards the Trist for the all-in on this kind of dive-orientated composition, or you can go towards even the Xayah and still have full control of that bottom side, give yourself a bunch of self-heal for the Renekton and also for this Nocturne, and honestly, it looks like that's going to be the pick here.
Yeah, Renekton locked in here for the side of RA. Still flex, you can still put that Renekton into mid lane, you can put the Nocturne jungle or mid or, you know, Renekton top. A lot of different options, a lot of different moving pieces. Like we said though, not seeing it from this particular split on anyone for the Nocturne except for Lian, and that's the Xayah locked in. Neither side going for the Tristana this time
that's
round.
What we said, right? Xayah has always been the traditional counter to Kai'Sa in the LPL. You do very well in lane, you get a bunch of those feathers down, make it very difficult for Kai'Sa to operate. You've also got what we were talking about with the Feather Storm, bunch of self-peel. And you know what Nocturne hates? Self-peel on an AD carry, because it means he can't one-shot them. So now LWX getting a bunch of safety. He's got a really aggressive all-in potential with this Rel as well. Tien can play down here too. Just a really nice combo for FPX, and that's not even talking about potential for Doomby to bring out some of the dark technologies on this red side, or looking towards Nuguri top side and what he would like to play coming into this.
Yeah, honestly, and even looking at the bans from FPX, I like this. They're banning away the Karthus. They're saying, right, that flex is still there. Not as globally powerful as it would have been, and they're getting rid of the Alistar. Still got a Gragas potentially on board, so that could be an option here for Hong to go into the Rel.
I'm trying to, was kind of eyeing up the Gragas in my head, but like, it's a little bit off of what you want to do here as RA. Gragas is very good at okay, they're going to ban us, yeah, because I was going to say Gragas is very good at dispersing fights. He can work in short-range compositions, but he's not ideal in that scenario. So instead, they're going to ban or move away from that. FPX, I'm surprised to not see they're picking up champion for Nuguri in this top lane. Doomby seems like he's just going to go, okay, cool, I'll take the Orianna into mid. We can make this play nice and simple because Tien has had a great time influencing the lanes himself without Doomby having to do all too much.
Well, Doomby going to be picking up himself the Orianna into the mid lane. If this was RNG, I would say it was a flex, but it's not. As we see now, the last pick going to be here for FPX. Do they want to try and get something favorable for Nuguri?
So what they're trying to do here is FPX is go, right, Nuguri can actually potentially take the Jace here. if you're into that Renekton pick, you get full control of this top side. And as we saw in the last game, Nuguri can body cube in those side lanes and become very, very large. And okay.
All right. Okay, so that's probably the support Maokai into the bot side.
We have not seen this for a long time. So the way that Maokai came up, God damn it. But yeah, the way that this Maokai works is obviously you get like the interrupt coming through with the Q. You can control the bushes very well thanks to the saplings, but definitely took a hit with some nerfs on towards the saplings and fell off very quickly as teams kind of realized this isn't quite doing what we were hoping for. But we do get Orek bouncing back with the strongest pick for Fofo right now. This is his go-to. He's a 7.3 KDA on this champion. It's the largest KDA he has of champions he's played over 5 games. And I definitely think that this is something now that Orek can look to play around.
There is the Aatrox locked and loaded there for FPX. They're going to chuck that one up into the top side for Nuguri. As we see now, everyone swipping and swapping. Fofo, as you mentioned, on his Azir. Now the Maokai Kai's. The one thing I will say about the Maokai is that you've got a point-and-click CC, so it does kind of synergize very well with something like the Nocturne diving in. It
is true, yes, but it's also very good at countering it, right? Because when you're looking at, hey, you know what? Chris wants to jump in on top of us. Tien, Nuguri, even with this short range. Well, something that has that the ability to slow down that pace, buy space for Fofo, have iBoy play this front-to-back style can really work out for them, but it will be a little bit more difficult if FPX, once again, find these multiple different flank routes, because definitely the composition Ore has likes this very easy front-to-back style.
Well, we will wait and see as we jump into what could potentially be the final game of this best of 5. FPX 2-0 and knocking on the door of JDG in 2 more days' time. As RA really trying to fight back, really looking to see if they can come back into this series and push us towards at least a Game 4. It's going to be tough. It has not been the greatest series for them, but there is always an opportunity. You always have that. As long as you're in it, you can win it.
Well, we'll have to see if RA can actually get into this, because honestly, it feels like they haven't really been able to get themselves set up properly when it comes towards these team fights. Now, a gorgeous team fight setup here for them. They can counteract a lot of what FPX want to do. They just have to execute.
And execution has not exactly been RA's forte in the first 2 games. It's something we have obviously been very critical of. So now we jump onto the Rift. Let the Gyos go. What the hell happened? They just all started laughing.
Tittered, yeah.
Yeah, just all started laughing. And I was like, I missed the joke. You can't just not GyO in the 3rd game. God damn it, Shanghai. Well, no Gyos today. I think they're as annoyed about the second game as we are.
Say, that's a harsh moment for Ore. Yeah. Chinese fans have no chill.
No.
Like, some of the names and memes that they come out with are really harsh.
I was going to say they are not GyOing in protest. I'm obviously as complete hyperbole. I am imprinting intent there, of course. But we're now on to the Rift. RA, they're the ones that are going to have to try and make something happen. I want to see them be a little bit more proactive towards this bot lane. I want to see iBoy pay respect to LWX and Crisp.
It really does feel like right now Leon has to try and keep track of Tien this game. Because if you as Tien are able to like have influence boss, even influence top, you can do a hell of a lot. And even you can see Tien here, he's like pathing from this bot to top side. He wants to make sure that we can get these early kills as FPX to get to Nuguri, and he just swings that matchup in Nuguri's favor. Leon needs to be there to keep track. He is going to be matching the clear speed here, or at least the clear timing up towards that top side, but certainly before that level 6, if he can play that counter gank style, can keep Ore safe, and maybe give them time for iBoy and Fofo to get to team fights and have that front to back style.
I did like a little ping there from FPX. They literally pinged right on top of the Krugs just as Leon started them. So they're pretty confident they know where this jungler is going to be roughly around timings. They don't need a huge amount of vision to decide that. As we wait to see now how this one's kind of going for them right now. And RA, again, they will have a pretty decent time in almost all of these lanes right now. The Renekton does get the early push. As you can see in the minimap, the Azir will also be able to push in Doomby's Orianna underneath the turret. And in bot lane, same thing here. So it's about what they're able to use with these advantages is going to be the difference here in this early game.
Also, I like that Cube is getting that ward in the tri-bush there to just make sure he's safe to at least bully in these early stages and make sure they can get the crash before Tien comes up towards this top side. Tien is opting in towards a full clear though, as is Lian, kind of standard for your Nocturne, but certainly means that there's going to be a little bit of time here before he is able to have much of an impact in the top lane.
Well, Tien just popped down the Scryer's Bloom, finds a little ward, so they know exactly where the Volibear is. Still waiting to see exactly where it's to go. And Hong, with that pressure in bot side, going to roam up towards this mid lane. Going to be able to meet in with Tien, shuffle in. And Fofo keeps himself alive. Tien is just going to pat down towards this bot side, though, because he knows he can't really contest Lian on this top side scuttle.
And he wanted to get control here in the mid lane so he could have the support of Doomby here. With the reset coming through from my boy, though, just have the cull, and we'll be back in lane to just keep himself nice and safe. I honestly think that this is just smart timing from my boy and says a lot about what RA want to do. They're not looking for early plays. They know they need to scale up, where it's FPX who need to have influence on the map.
Well, this from Lian, though. He recognized that there was no real way that the side of, FPX's jungler could have gotten those Krugs up in time. Nuguri stunned. One more Q. Flash. No! Doesn't have enough. And there's enough lifesteal and the pop. But now Nuguri is going to be dove underneath turret. Lian is here. Has got flash available. The outplay potential is there. Never mind. Cube gets enough with the Triumph to keep himself alive. And they burn the teleport from Doomby. That's a big boo-boo from FPX.
Late TP from Doomby. And especially as Fofo, he can just push in this lane now, get this nice reset timing for himself. And there's not really much you can do here as FPX. Nuguri will move mid to cover the wave. But still, that's a massive win for RA. And as we talked about, this match up top, very snowbally. Cube being able to solo essentially win this lane spells good news for RA.
And you get the Iron Spike whip out for Lian very, very early. Feels good as of the moment. Those saplings are going to be very annoying for the bot lane of FPX, but you're fine with this kind of, taking a little bit of a slow turn now on this bot side for RA. You mentioned it there earlier. The cull has been picked up by iBoy, so he's just going to be stacking up that extra passive gold. And we can see Nuguri just kind of going to have to try and see if he can do something else here. This Renekton, this Nocturne is going to be very potent once they hit that level 6 mark.
And it feels like, honestly, right now, RA have a lot of ways of shutting down the aggression from FPX. The fact you've got, winning lanes essentially across the board, thanks to Hung being able to stop any aggression from Chris from the bottom lane, is working wonders for them right now. And FPX, this is where they start to get uncomfortable. As we said, this is the bloodiest team. This is the fastest Phoenix, but they don't really like when it's going even into that mid-game.
The thing is, I suppose, is that, they're the fast to the destination or off a cliff. They're fast regardless of how they want to play this one. And I actually just want to, again, just call out really smart pathing from Lian as he went in towards that top side, was able to capitalize on Nuguri just getting kind of very, very, very low. And now Tien is kind of scrambling to see if he can find another different advantage. They will see the junglers now passing into each other. There is the ultimate there straight away from the Lian as he jumps straight in on top of Volibear. Where are you going to go? Solo killed. Jungle v jungle action. And now Nuguri forced underneath his turret. Lian needs to be careful though as Doomby is here, but Doomby doesn't have any mana.
I know, Doomby's had essentially no control over this mid lane for the entirety of this game. Nuguri now on this Aatrox in trouble of being dove once again. RA, they're playing this early game so well.
We'll say again, Nuguri does still have his flash, did not use it as that last wave or that last dive was coming in, but now Tien is coming off. He might be a little bit too late. There's the World Ender, the Dominus. The Dustbringer does land. The flash is there, but it's just not enough to keep him there and alive. Lian 3-0-0. This Nocturne is online, and Tien, he's running towards Lian, but I just don't think he can do anything.
It's kind of just scaring him off, but there's not really anything left. Now Lian, he's a serious threat here, especially for the likes of Doomby. You are now very quickly working up towards the Stride Breaker. You're accelerated so fast when it comes towards levels, and he can work off of both Cube and Fofo to invade, make sure Tien's not having a good time, and try and run this game straight into the late, or even the later portion of the mid-game, where RA are stronger.
Great start for RA, but we have to keep putting down the little caveat when these things happen is that the execution needs to be there. They need to be able to pick up exactly what they want to go for, and if they're not able to execute around these fights, if they're not able to execute around these skirmishes, that's when it starts to get a little bit risky. But so far, so good for the likes of RA. They have getting Lian ahead. He's got himself really far ahead in the gold and in the camps, and he's just got to keep this momentum going.
And look, the big news here as well is, like, let's look at the objectives that are coming up, right? Because Ocean Dragon is up and available. You can't touch that as FPX. And you would love to, because you'd love to find ways to force RA into these early fights. But if you go towards that, you've got a stronger bot lane coming in, at least off of resets coming in from iBoy. You're going to have the stronger jungle, stronger mid lane, and you don't really have anything you could offer. And Fofo with the Arcane Comet has been doing a great job of punishing Doomby in this mid lane, forcing Doomby to burn so much mana, and it means that Doomby can't have influence when he moves off into these side lanes.
You talked about how snowbally this top side is. The Renekton is thoroughly bullying away this Aatrox, nearly 30 CS and a tower plate to boot, just stopping Nuguri from doing anything. It's going to be possibly even more as they got the rest of the team kind of rotating up here. You can see the Rel, the Volibear on the minimap, but the rest of RA are in tow. They know that this might be an option for the side of FPX to get back into this game.
I mean, well, there's no TP from Nuguri. Like, I actually don't want FPX to go for this. Unless they're looking for the pick on Cube, that could potentially work, but not contesting Rift.
Yeah, Cube trying to see if he can get that second play. Flash forward there by TN. They lock him in. They get him down. Nuguri gets a kill. Nicely done there by the side of FPX, and they keep their top laner relevant.
Yeah, and that's the thing here is that, look, you do get that kill to Nuguri, which is massive, especially with the 30 CS deficit he's seen. But in the end, he can turn this around, right? Because you still got that Rift Herald there, 2 plates already gone on this top lane, 3 remaining. So you can play through Cube and then look to unlock Cube and move around the rest of the map. And if you set up this, like, Leanne Cube dive towards mid, towards bot side, it becomes very tough as...
Ooh, LWX perfectly placing those feathers to stop iBoy from advancing forward. 1 or 2 more auto attacks would have been enough for iBoy to get that 1v1. And no summoners blown, but definitely advantage to RA again in this bot side. And all right, now we're starting to see a bit of momentum here for RA. They're starting to kind of own pretty much all of the lanes.
And honestly, I was hoping that we'd see a little bit more from FPX on this bottom side of the map. Yes, Hun can do a reasonably good job against Crisp's engage, but if you have TN and Crisp working in tandem, you can actually do quite a lot of work on this bottom side. But unfortunately for them, they haven't quite been able to find that advantage because TN has been putting so much time into this top lane as Nuguri has just been falling further and further behind.
Will mean first Drake does go over the side of Rare Atom. They get themselves that first stack. They've got themselves about a 2,500 gold lead. And this early on is kind of a very decent kind of setup for themselves. You see now, right now, knowing that they have land towards this bot side, knowing they have the paranoia, they have to back away LWX. He cannot, oh, that's cheeky. That's cheeky. He gets away the steal. But again, these are small little advantages that are just kind of eking forward for RA. They can just honestly 100% keep everybody off of this tower, and it's going to be just iBoy free farming.
I mean, this is really, really good from RA. And look, it's good to see these guys finally coming alive, right? We talked about how they looked really good against IG, where they're finding these counter punches, but this is RA being proactive. This is Cube outmatching Nuguri in the top side. This is Leanne finding these plays and actually getting involved in the lanes. I really didn't expect to see RA having this much control in the early stages against FPX. I thought it'd be how do we absorb and then bounce back, but this is very much RA taking the fight to FPX.
You can see there Rift Herald being spawned up in this top side. Nuguri has to play so defensively. The rest of his supporting cast needs to join him, but there's no way he can defend this tower. There we go, flash in with the paranoia. They're trying to see if they can burn him down, and they will. Now you got the 2 tanks. Yes, you have the Volibear. Yes, he's got a little bit of damage, but can he get enough off on here? Teleport's going to be channeled in by both mid laners as they pop down the Shurima's legacy. We can see Leanne going to be sacrificed as everybody else from the side of RA just focus down on the TN. They will take him down. Cube does get Shockwave back, but it ends up being more damage in favor of RA. They get a second charge off. They're honestly just owning everything.
And there's nothing FPX can do. They're trying so hard to turn around this massive sinking hole of gold in the top lane, but all they're doing is just throwing more into it. Now, RA, they get that charge top, they get more kills, and they are looking at a 4,000 gold lead coming into this. And one of the stats that you kind of half touched on, but didn't really get into, Penguin, was FPX only have a 33% win rate when behind a 15. Like, we are very quickly approaching that mark at FPX. They're completely lost control of this game.
LWX just trying his very best to just soak up as much as he can, but it's just so difficult when you're against so much poke, so much dive potentials. We have a look at how this all went going. This was just instant on top of the Aatrox, and he can't even sustain.
No, he's gone. And this is the power that we were talking about with Leanne. Having the very quickly picked up Stridebreaker. He's absolutely destroying this top lane. And you named it. 2 tanks here. What are you going to do? Yes, they get 1 kill turned around, but the rest of RA are able to collapse just as quick as Doomby is, and they can turn that play back around. And now we're starting to spread the love here as well for RA. Cube, Stridebreaker completed as well. You got that kill to Fofo. He's now accelerated towards that Luden's Tempest. Even on the bot side of the map as well, iBoy is very quickly becoming an issue thanks to these plates.
Well, Hong does have the twisted advance should he decide to go in on top of that one there, but there will be a ward to spot out Lian, who now has that Stridebreaker alongside the Phage, so he's got enough burst damage.
Watch Fofo. They're going for this 4-man play on bot, and as LWX and Chris, but how low LWX is, they got to give up bot tower.
Yeah, they can't defend this one anymore. They have to just let that one go. And that's going to be another little bit of plate damage going over. You can see this, the goon squad they have to go just to protect the blue buff, let alone protect their lives.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you're going to get this rinse and repeat. Actually, I would have preferred to see Lian path towards bot side here. This is, you will have the support here of Q, but potential for FPX to collapse faster.
Yeah, they have Nuggery there. Spell Shield does get popped. Arnez there. Smite there from Lian's just clean. He's got himself a 2-level lead. There's no real way that Tien gets a look in on that particular one. And they get the red buff, they back away, and that just took away more time from the solo laners as they tried to help out their jungler.
Yeah, I still, although it is a win, I think they still could have accelerated faster through this bottom side. You push in mid, you have Fofo and Lian, then rotate bot. You know that if Tien is stuck in this bottom side, he's actually just not picking up any farm. He's falling further behind to Lian, and you can always threaten the 4-man dive on bot side. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, look, they're still very much in control of this. It's just a case of snowballing completely ahead. But you do have a dragon fight that's going to be coming up in 40 seconds. So either RA can use how big Lian is, how big Cube is, to power through that, or they just get the dragon themselves. And I think right now, Fofo will push in this wave, go back for the Luden's Tempest, and you should see RA get control of that objective.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's any real world right now where FPX are able to defend against this dragon. It would take a myriad of mistakes, as we can see Crisp just kind of eating those sapling tosses one after the other. This is the a very annoying thing about the Maokai. He's not going forward to the AP Maokai, not the Imperial Mandate Maokai that I used to see. It is going to be a much more standard, stocky man.
But it's also about making sure you've got this engage tool as well, because he's going to have that chem tank for the speed up, so he can provide a secondary engage that allows, again, a dive buddy, or at least a holding hand for Lian as he goes in aggressively. But as you call it, Penguin, and we talked about, FPX don't want to touch this. They are hyper aware of how far behind they are, and they are looking to hold on for maybe when they get 2-3 items on towards Doomby. When LWX has got his own 2 to 3 items completed, certainly getting a mythic completed at least. But Hong might have gotten caught out.
Yeah, that's the flash. Good little respect flash there from Hong. Did not realize that Tien was still around.
And look at the answer from RA. They're instantly like, Lian's pathing back. Fofo wants to be bot side as well. They're going to bat for their bottom lane here to make sure that they can keep it safe, but it does open up space for Lian. Doomby is not safe underneath this tower right now.
He has got a Shockwave and Flash. Here we go. There's the Paranoia just dropped down. Shockwave brings him back, but he's already dead. Nowhere for him to go. Lian picks up that kill, and now you have all this free time in this mid lane, and you're trying to force something bot now for FPX because you know you're just losing around the map.
And it's so oppressive to play against Fed Nocturne like this, because he goes towards the Stridebreaker, gets the Sterix, and he's like, we can't kill him. He's too tanky. But he kills me way faster.
He's too tanky, but he does too much damage. What is going on here? And you can see now RA just playing respect to the FPX, you know, kind of like dive option here. They just can't go for this one right now. Tien's already taken too much damage.
Yeah, Tien can't go for it. And honestly, you have the double TPs available for Cube and Fofo. Like, they can hard force this bot side, still pick up Rift Herald top, and completely shut down everything FPX is doing, more so than they already have. So now we're looking at a 7,000 gold lead at the 17-minute mark. And RA, they're looking good. This could be the start, because this is one step of many if they want to turn this into that reverse sweep and keep themselves in the spring split playoffs.
You couldn't have said it anymore in terms of the stakes that are at hand here for the side of RA. You now cannot lose a game. You have to win the next 3 games, one after the other. Otherwise, you're out. Your season is done. We'll see you in summer. And for FPX, they are very much in the hole, but it's going to be around if they can get that gold onto the Aatrox, onto the Orianna, and onto the Xayah, where they do have those 2.5 items, and we know that they can out-team fight.
It is so hard for FPX to find good team fights, though, because we already touched on, like, front-to-back style for Ore is fantastic. That ultimate from the Maokai, which may need to be thrown out here.
Oh, never mind. We're going to see the Paranoia straight away. Shockwave does get him away, though. And this might be a little bit of an overstep. You can see there Nuguri with the World Ender. They're going to have to use the Emperor's Divide, but jump straight back in. But Chris, you're by yourself, buddy. No one can join you. Flash forward by LWX, so it does find Fofo. And now 1-for-1 trade in this fight. Leyen taking so much punishment. Shut down here from the side of FPX. We can see iBoy jumping in on top of Duumbi. He's now over the wall trying to do his best, but look at this raid boss. That is Cube in the middle of this team fight. It was messy, it was not clean. It looks like it's still going on. You have to respect the CC that can come down right now, Cube, and you have to back away. 3 for 3.
You'll take that as FPX though. 3 for 3 in that deficit. You've just got such a massive boon off of all the bonuses, and as you said, Ore, messy fight. I'm literally mid-sentence explaining that you want front-to-back style team fights, and they just decide, nah, throw caution to the wind. But the wallets aren't big enough just yet for this team.
They're still pretty big, though. 7,000 gold still in favor of RA. Tien, though, might be in a little bit of trouble. Cube just going to roam in and just try and steal that one. Smite comes down. Tien will have it available for the next Dragon in a minute 30's time. But honestly, this is why I'm hesitant to say, you know, this is RA's game, because it's stuff like that. It's those little moments where Leyen just goes, I can go in, and this is where he gets caught.
And the thing is, it looks good because of Duumbi, but they just don't realize that they've got the Aatrox here shadowing, and Nuguri gets a heap of damage off, and look how spread out it is, right? Hung isn't getting much value in this fight. You've also got the Kaisa, who's just straight off on the bottom side of the map, and when LWX is able to join in first, this fight goes absolutely disastrously. Now, Cube is massive. He's able to get a lot off here with the flash on towards LWX to get on and keep the fight a bit more interesting. But this could have been so much worse if iBoy hadn't been able to come up, and if, honestly, Ore had taken a second or two to just slow it down.
I like how iBoy flat or cleansed in solidarity with LWX there. He had no CC on him, he just cleansed.
Yeah.
And I was just like, cool. Didn't need to use that summoner, but whatever. 30 seconds now until that third Drake does spawn. It would be putting RA onto Soul Point. It is the Cloud Soul, so not exactly the most influential in terms of combat effectiveness, but you'll take that because it does open up the map, does give you a little bit more extra movement speed for the likes of Cube, Leyen, Fofo, the likes. They will still benefit from it if they are able to get that Dragon Soul.
And you can see, though, we are still sitting at a 7,000 gold lead. And this Dragon, again, should go the way of Ore. I honestly think as FPX, you just say, look, as you're talking about, call it quits on the Cloud. Let's see if we can get vision control towards top side, get some much-needed gold in, like trade this bot lane turf for top lane for Duumbi, get this deep vision, and make sure we're safe for Baron, which is the bigger issue right now.
Is the bigger issue. I actually wanted to just kind of point out there, as we see Leyen having to pop the Rift Herald, was just about to spawn out, just about to bring up, but honestly, you're fine with this trade right now, I feel like, if you're on the side of FPX, because you're just looking for gold. You're just looking to try and get those extra standing towers that are just very easy for you to just push down like this from Duumbi. And you look at the items down the board, like Duumbi's on 2 items. He's okay to kind of be safe. He's actually slightly ahead of Fofo.
And this is a test on 2 sides here, both for Ore and for FPX. Is FPX, they're collapsing.
They are going in. They're putting him in a bit of a vice as Hong tries to keep everyone away with the Nature's Grass. Leyen now caught between a rock and a Aatrox. iBoy is here. The Infernal Chain will bring him all the way back. Quick kill there. 3-3-3 for Nuguri. And he is now, they might look for the Baron. Honestly, there's no dragon.
They need to be so
no jungler.
careful though. Cube is huge, and if he gets into the thick of things here and on towards LWX, that could be the end of it. Duumbi, no shockwave as well. So many ultimates used by FPX in that brawl.
Yeah, they have to back away. They cannot risk it right now. You got your pick, you get the gold, you back yourselves away.
But Ore run mid now. Fofo can shove in, they can threaten the tier 2, and looks like Ore, though, don't want to fully extend, but this is what I was about to talk about, is that Ore, this is where you actually earn your spot. You have the lead, you need to close this out cleanly, but FPX, they will fight you every step of the way. They are so good at finding these picks, and you just get that perfect example there.
And this is the big thing right now, is that just kind of slows down the game. When you get a pick like that, it adds an extra 30, 40 seconds on that timer of, oh, I'm sorry, LWX, but you get that extra 30, 40 seconds here from something like, you know, an extra item for FBX, an extra half item for LWX. You have these things that are now popping up, and Oh, that ward doesn't quite get cut out.
But exactly what you're talking about, Penguin. Like, look at Doomby, right? He's had to go for the Zhonya's Hourglass, couldn't finish off that Archangel stab before everything went messy because he needed safety. Now he's bought time to actually finish the Zhonya's. He's very close to that Archangel staff. And same when you look towards LWX. Kraken Slayer now completed. This Kai'Sa is suddenly a lot more difficult to deal with in fights. Like, this is the issue that you look with when Ore are finding, or at least giving across these picks, and it does come down to a lack of vision control, a lack of being able to keep the dark spots on the map visible, so FPX can't just look for these plays.
This turret was pretty much dead from the last push, so just has to give that one up and try another day. Still about a 7,000 gold lead, just a little bit under, teetering under it now, and this is kind of the thing now for RA. They need to try and find an advantage where they can.
I actually don't like the build coming in from iBoy. I really want to see him pick up a very quick Lord Dominic's Regard. I actually would have preferred to see it second. I think delaying for the Phantom Dancer isn't worth it when you've got so many tanks, but now Nuguri
feeling it right now. Pops the world under Cube. Should honestly just be able to get out of this one, right? He gets the ultimate out, doesn't lose anything, but Nuguri's starting to show a little bit more presence in these 1v1s, trying to show like, yes, I may be behind you, but I'm not that far behind you.
And that's the thing. He is, look, don't get me wrong, he's very far behind. The difference is the build, right? Because as an Aatrox, you get to build more offensive. It works both in the side lane and in these team fights. You want all this healing in the world. Because of the nerf towards Goredrinker, though, and the new build coming through from Renekton, he just falls off a lot quicker. You're not as strong in these side lanes because you don't have the healing. You don't have the ability to take these long, extended trades and win out.
We have hit a bit of a lull state. 24.5 minutes coming up onto the clock, and both sides just very content to wait for probably another minute 20 seconds for that Dragon Soul. And even then, we talk about the Dragon Soul is probably the weakest of all the 4 souls. And even if you're FPX, if you don't feel like that's the correct place to fight, you don't fight. You just look towards Baron, you keep your vision around that, and that's the last fight effort you put down.
The big thing for FPX is they can look to punish the shallow vision from Ore. Like, look, where's the deep vision for Ore right now, right? They're slowly but surely getting it, but it's a blue ward. It's having to invest these trinkets so then you can actually move in safely. And yes, this is 50 seconds until Dragon, but you don't really have control of the map in the way Ore should. And it's been a big criticism of them. It's why they've been struggling to close out some of these games and why they tend towards these later game compositions where it's just like, right, we've got these here, we've got a late game Kai'Sa, now we're in good shape.
Well, FPX look like they do actually want to fight around this Dragon. They're going around as a death ball. Shrima's Legacy was popped into that mid lane, so you will see Fofo gain priority there. Tien is here. Nuguri just dashes over the wall. They know it's a little bit of a split fight. Nuguri, though, needs to be very, very careful. Yes, you have items, but you're not that tanky.
Fofo wants to keep control of this entry into River. If you can separate FPX, you're in great shape, which is why he's posturing so aggressive. He's challenging FPX to step forward, step into his domain.
LWX takes a chunk, half his HP. There's the paranoia. Tien down to almost nothing. They jump in. There's going to be a lot of damage put down, but nobody's following up on this, and they will eventually take down Tien. Cube, though, in the back of this fight. LWX will be jumped on by iBoy as the rest of the fight does end up going down. It ends up being a 4-for-1 in favor of RA as Nuguri just has to watch on.
And he will end up being stopped by Hung here. They're going to keep him at bay, but that was beautiful by Ore, and we talked about Fofo. Soldiers at the gate, stopping FPX from getting into River, and now you've got this Dragon Soul coming up. All right, already picked up for Ore. You can move towards Baron. You are now able to get the last structures down on FPX, the last bastions of hope for FPX in this game 3.
Exactly what you want to see from RA. They force the fight around the Dragon. They now push out, get the Baron. They have all waves in their favor right now, so they can go for a very quick reset without losing any of that standing gold. This is just perfect from the side of RA to try and close this out and send us to a game 4.
And we're going to watch it in this replay. Fofo sets up the danger zone. It's like red alert the second you try to, as FPX to move in here. And the amount of damage that FPX took trying to enter that river is actually just insane. Like, I'm pretty sure that Tien was down to half health, Nuguri was down to half health, or at least LWX certainly was as well. You can see there, like, you're getting poked by 3 soldiers trying to get in towards river. Instantly you get the Maokai ult over the top of it as well. And although this fight looks, oh, okay, maybe FPX can clear it, Cube is too big, iBoy's able to go in with the killer instinct, and Fofo, he's 1v3 on the back line.
And he comes out almost unscathed. He didn't even use his flash in that particular.
He lost his Banshees.
He lost his Banshees. Sad times. Yeah, it's tough life for the mid laner. But this is perfect now for the side of RA, because you've got your IE finished up here for Kai'Sa. You're still delaying a lot of that power spike for the Xayah. You're still delaying a lot of that power spike for the Aatrox as well. The Volibear isn't that big of a tank either, and there's just nothing really you can do if you're FPX.
It's not even a power spike anymore. Like, they're so far behind. Look at the items on the other side. You've already got the 3 completed there for the Kai'Sa. You've already got 3 completed for the Azir, and they scale just as well as you do into the later portion of the game. So this isn't a spike, it's a catch-up. And they're being left in the dust.
And left in the dust and in the dark there. Leanne just popping down the paranoia, because you can see there LWX taking a lot of punishment from Fofo's Azir soldiers, and this is starting to look like we might be going to a game 4, but for RA, you just need to keep the cool. You just need to keep the head. You need to keep pushing these waves. You've got the 3-1-1 set up. You've got the waves pushing in. You don't need to panic.
It's looking a lot like Christmas for RA fans, though. The miracle at the front door, where they've managed to hold on for 1 game. Looks like they'll be pushing us to a 4th in this series. And they just need to keep the ball rolling, try and get this reverse sweep down. And for a team that certainly has gained a lot of fans over the course of this split, they would be heartbroken to see them go out in a manner like this.
Track Repel does get used there by Chris, but he has used Pheromancy as well. Top lane and mid lane both being sieged down. Top lane inhibitor will be gifted over. There's still 45 seconds or a little under that of this Baron buff left. It becomes very difficult for now for the side of FPX to defend. They have to make a call, because they'll lose everything if they don't do anything.
Yeah, I don't even know who they're going to try and call here for support, because they're all out. There's no real hope. RA are doing such a good job of playing this slow, playing at range. iBoy even threatening LWX free on the backline.
Yeah, and these cannon minions are just doing work onto LWX's health bar as well. You can see top turret, top inhibitor turret down, middle inhibitor down, bot inhibitor now down. That's 3 inhibitors gone off of 1 Baron push. They will lose the Baron buff now in the next 2 seconds. But that is the base left in ruin here for FPX. They need to try and find a fight before these resets come in. They're going to look for Cube. They're trying to see if they can go for something. They have to use the Tieno defensively, and there's the paranoia back in. Does drop the Living Nightmares. Hong flashes away, keeps himself alive, and the rest of RA will now back away. FPX just couldn't get it.
But it's every ultimate used defensively here from FPX. Magnet Storm, the Stormbringer, even Nuggery needing to pop the World Ender just to try and keep himself nice and topped up. Like, FPX, this dive composition that they tried to work with is too far behind. They're not able to get aggressive. And look at the level discrepancies across the board. Even like iBoy, level 17 to LWX's level 14. 15 for Leanne versus Tien's 13. Like, all across the board, you're being beaten back as FPX. It doesn't get any better either, because even when you look towards like the late game, Azir, Kai'Sa, still gonna do wonders. And now you're staring down the barrel of, in a minute and a half, having to try and manage both Elder Dragon and a Baron buff.
I will say, silver lining, Crisp has a level advantage over Hong. So, you know, there's that. And I think, you know, there's in moments like these, you do have to look for the positives.
I think Lining might be a little bit generous. Maybe like a silver sliver.
Yeah.
Like the tiniest.
Something just to, you know, kind of be positive about, as these double super minions are going to be pretty easy for the side of FPX to clear, as long as there's nobody from RA to contest. You can see straight away they're there. It becomes very difficult for LWX on this very short-ranged AD carry to put them in. He does have 3 items, though. Is a full IE behind, though, onto iBoy. So here we go. Do they look to try and just end it here? The waves just aren't synced up that well. And like I said, there is still decent wave clear for FPX.
But I love how iBoy and Fofo were set up. Completely opposite side of the fight. You can never get onto both carries, and especially when Fofo has the Banshee's Veil, he can reset these fights so well. Killer Instinct from iBoy for the peel. Like, it becomes so hard for Chris to find these big engages.
There we go! There's a 3-man Magnet Storm as well. They're going to get the Shockwave down, but Cube is just too tanky. He's got too much health. You went for the Miracle Engage, and you were not able to make it work. Everybody will fall. RA will pick up a win, and we go to a Game 4 in this best-of-5 series.
It's a long path to victory here for RA, though. 1 game of 3 that they have to start if they hope to reverse beat FPX. But this time around, they looked damn good from the get-go. That early game coming out